So recently, as of yesterday actually, I sat down and finished up reading the rest of the 4-part crossover between Transformers and My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, which is Friendship in Disguise. And I have to say that what I read for the rest of it was actually pretty good. Now, of course, for a lot of you that probably have read the stories already yourself, either physically or digitally, you may have noticed a pattern with each of the issues. That pattern being that they contain two 11-page, if not two 11 to 12-page stories, and where they pair up a Transformer with one of the characters from MLP. Whether it's an Autobot with one of the ponies, or it's one of the ponies opposing a Decepticon. And I thought they did a pretty good job here. I mean, the first one that we see here in issue 2 is, of course, what's on the cover, and that's Grimlock and Spike. And what I like about that is you have Spike basically started out by writing a letter to Twilight stating that he's in this new world, which is basically Earth, and that he, despite everything they've been through previously, he has seen nothing like what he's seeing right now, because he's looking right in front, or he's standing right in front, I should say, of Teletran 1. So, that's how basically the issue kind of starts. And then, of course, he encounters Grimlock, and basically, long story short, the two fight off the Constructicons, who notice that the Ark is empty because of what's been going on, and decide that once the Autobots come back, they won't have a place to go back to. So they try to attack it. Grimlock goes and tries to fend them off by transforming into his dinosaur form, which Spike finds to be so cool. As a matter of fact, you may notice that they use the same panel twice for Spike in this issue. One in a little small corner, and then one, before that on a previous page. Now, of course, Grimlock does his best and takes down individually the Constructicons until they merge into Devastator, and then as Devastator they start taking him down, and Spike, who decides he wants to help, but only when Grimlock would need it, sees that Grimlock needs it, and figures, okay, what can I do here? And then quick thinking goes and does what a Twilight would do, or what Twilight would do, read up on what he can, read up on some of the Cybertronian stuff that's there, and realizes, or comes to the conclusion, that he could activate the thrusters on the Ark, the main thrusters on the Ark, to blast Devastator, and that's what happens. So long story short, they end up defeating Devastator, basically causing him to fall back into the individual Constructicon pieces, and the story ends with Spike, just in awe, just overwhelmed by the fact that Grimlock said that he, Spike, had inspired Grimlock, because Grimlock wouldn't have thought about using the main thrusters of the Ark to take down Devastator. Now, the next story in issue 2, we have the pairing of Pinkie Pie and Gouge or something like that. I think it's a female Autobot. I don't really know, but it's a new Autobot in my opinion, a young one. And he gets paired up. I think it's a she gets paired up with Pinkie Pie, and Pinkie has a cooking show. She has a cooking show now, so she gets paired up with Pinkie Pie, and I guess in the tradition of having a guest chef, they have to present each of their own special cuisines that they make. So Pinkie Pie does cupcakes, and Gouge presents a Cybertronian casserole. Now, during all this, they do get interrupted by the arrival of Shockwave. A space bridge portal opens up, and Shockwave comes out and decides to basically attack them, and decides he's going to basically and this is kind of where it gets a little dark, kind of decides he's going to convert the ponies into Energon. Basically, because the way he describes it is, how many ponies can fill up a Decepticon or something like that. So he goes after Gouge and Pinkie Pie, who basically have to outwit him, and in the end they do basically find a way to outwit him and basically use what's at their disposal, which is kitchen utensils and frying pans, and they basically are able to knock Shockwave back into the portal and I guess back to Cybertron or back to wherever he came from. And overall the story was alright. I mean, the ending was funny too, because just like with any cooking show with a guest chef, you have to taste each other's cuisines to see if, you know, they're as good as they advertise. And let's just say the ending kind of hints at the fact that once the audience is gone and the camera fades to black, that both are going to spit out those cuisines of the others, because it's not exactly that good to eat, if you know what I mean. Now, the second story, not second story, but the third issue involves Fluttershy and Discord encountering Soundwave and his cassette Decepticons. And this is actually a really neat story, because you actually, you know, have Fluttershy at first thinking of Discord's playing a trick on her, and he says he's not, and that's when they encounter Soundwave. And by encountering Soundwave, you know, Fluttershy, you know, and this is one thing I'm sure a lot of fans of the show, of the series, may not like, is how they portray Fluttershy here. Because if you go back and watch Daring Done, which I think was in the final season, basically Fluttershy is called out for the way she's portrayed in there, as being gullible and all that, being, you know, reverted back to her earlier season's version of herself. Well, you might say that's kind of what happens here, because she sees Soundwave's cassette bots, mostly Laserbeak, Ratback, and Ravage, and it's just in awestruck at the fact that, oh, Soundwave has pets, you know. So, long story short, Soundwave tries to, you know, do his job by trying to take over the area, and Discord, of course being Discord, tries to, you know, tries to understand the guy, get along with him, you know, not against Fluttershy, but try to understand and get along with him. And we even see Discord take on the appearance of a Transformer version of himself, where he decides to show, hey, I'm willing to learn what you are, by transforming himself into different inanimate objects and stuff. But it's only until Rumble gets aggressive with Fluttershy, because Fluttershy is oblivious to what the cassette bots, the animal ones anyway, are really about. And Discord notices this, and he's like, enough. Enough. That's crossing the line kind of deal. So he basically uses his magic to do what he did to himself, by turning himself into like a robot version. And he does it to the animals, like Angel Bunny and a few of the other small animals that Fluttershy takes care of. And they go after Soundwave, they go after Rumble, but it's Fluttershy that's able to talk Soundwave down and make him realize, look, you know, we mean no harm, you know, we can be friends, I know you take care of... Basically, Fluttershy, being Fluttershy, finds a way to, you know, create a coexistence between them. In other words, she's able to slightly, temporarily face-turn Soundwave and his cassettes, including Rumble. And that's how the first story ends in issue 3. The second story is between Windblade and Rainbow Dash, and the Windblade that's portrayed here is a little bit more different than what you've seen in that Power of the Primes trilogy series that they did. You know, she's a little bit more different here than she is there, because when she encounters Rainbow Dash is in awe of how fast she is, and, you know, the wings she has, and Windblade is the same way with Rainbow. And they both have kind of the same attitude of, hey, I'm the fastest, kind of having that ego kind of thing. So they decided the only way to settle it is with a race, and we get this race. So all of a sudden we go into this race where it's not just them, but they also have other ponies and creatures and Transformers. And basically, as soon as the race starts, Windblade and Rainbow are right at the lead. Showing off with each other, showing each other what they could do, like barrel rolls and, little, like tornado spins or something like that. But all of a sudden, it's all interrupted by Misfire and the Rainmaker Decepticons from, the first season. the first season of the series. And Misfire and the Rainmakers try to take out Rainbow Dash, try to take out Windblade, but Rainbow Dash comes up with a idea called the Foxtrot. I think it's a Foxtrot, and she's able to, or the Flying Foxtrot or something like that, and she's able to use this along with Windblade to take out Misfire and the Rainmaker Decepticons, and both, after taking them out, both end up winning the race in a tie. So they still win the race while at the same time taking out Misfire and the Rainmaker Decepticons. So that was issue 3. Issue 4 starts out with Applejack seeing the Insecticons basically gnawing away, eating away at her family's farm at Apple Acres, the trees and all that. So she does what she feels she can do, or she does what she knows basically to try to take them out. She tries to shoo them away, spray them with water, do whatever she can, and it proves to be, in vain until Discord shows up and lends a helping hand. Now, just like Fluttershy, Applejack is wondering if Discord's playing a trick, and he's like, no. And obviously you could tell this is in the same continuity, the same story. Like this is the 4th part, if you will, or part 4.5 or whatever. And, Discord acknowledges, that he's seen them before because it was Fluttershy, with tea time and all that. So he decides to help Applejack out by bringing in the Apple family a la Avengers Infinity War. And what I'm talking about is if you watch Avengers Infinity War and you saw that one scene at the end with all the superheroes coming through the portals for that big climactic battle, that's kind of what you had here with the Apple family coming out in a similar fashion. And the Apple family does fend off the Insecticons to the point that the Insecticons say, enough, we're out of here, bye-bye, and they retreat. Then this leads us into our finale. Now, here's what I like about this. You have the finale, which is the last story of issue 4, very similar to the first story of issue 1. Basically, the first story in issue 1 was sort of an origin, sort of like laying the groundwork of what we were going to get. This is the finale. This is like everything was built up to this point. So what happens here is we have the Young Six, aka the Student Six, reporting to Princess Cadence about what's going on, and basically noting that the villains, have dissipated. Like they're nowhere to be found in the areas where they were located last. And, Cadence thinks that's good news, but that's also some bad news as well, because the Student Six kind of tell her that they don't know, where they could be or what they're planning next. And that's all of a sudden when, that basically is when all of a sudden, I should say, the castle gets blasted into by Megatron, Crystallis, the Decepticons, and the Changelings that are with Crystallis, the ones that have yet to be converted. So, Crystallis and Megatron think they got the upper hand, but Cadence reminds her, look, I'm not alone in this. You think I'm alone, but I'm not. And all of a sudden, out of a portal, the window mirror portal or something like that, comes Twilight, Optimus, and the rest of the main 7, or the main 6, main 7, and the rest of the Equestria ponies and creatures, and the Autobots, like I said. And basically, right from there, we get this big climactic battle. They're getting ready for this big climactic battle. And there is one line that Optimus says, and Twilight follows suit on this. Optimus says, because Optimus is always known for saying, Autobots transform and roll out. Here he says, Autobots and ponies transform and trot out. And then Twilight follows that up by saying, till every pony is one. Or something like that. And we get this big old splash page where they have this climactic battle, and it's actually a pretty fun battle. You got all the characters, getting some offense in and everything, and you suddenly have, the portal, you have another space bridge portal open up, and here comes Spike in an exosuit with Grimlock, joining in the fray. You got more ponies and Autobots showing up. It's just a fun climactic battle. And in the end, you have basically what was teased here. You have what was teased here show up at the end of this issue here. If I can pull it out. You have this moment happen right there. And maybe if I scan this, you might see a better picture. But yeah, we have Twilight combining her magic with the power of the Matrix to basically repair the bridge, if you will, the space bridge between both worlds, and send the Decepticons, and I'm guessing Chrysalis along with them, back to Cybertron, and allow the Autobots to go back as well, after of course they have a little celebration party to help celebrate the safety and protection of the world and the start of this new partnership, friendship that they have between them. Now, you would think that's the end of the story, but just like with any crossover, they ended on a cliffhanger, or any kind of story like this, they ended on a cliffhanger with the potential that we could get a sequel where Shockwave informs Megatron that although they can't replicate what Chrysalis did, you know, with the space bridge, you know, activating that and all that, they do, you know, he does, Shockwave that is, does have the coordinates to be able to do it once again, or basically be able to bring the magic of Equestria over to their world. So what that does, basically, by Shockwave telling Megatron he has those coordinates to probably find a way to apply the magic or get their magic over into Cybertron's world, that leaves the door open for a sequel, a potential sequel crossover between the two, and a sequel to where I could see it being another 4-part issue, maybe 6-part, who knows, but mostly 4-part. But the difference that I could see is it won't be individual issues. Instead, it will be, you know, not individual issues, but instead of being short stories, short 11-page, 12-page stories, instead it will be a full-page story. In other words, the issue will be one story each. That's what I feel the sequel will be if we get a sequel crossover between the Transformers and My Little Pony. And I think the sequel this time will take place on Cybertron and not in Equestria or on Earth or anything like that. And again, I think we're going to get one issue stories instead of 2 individual short stories in the comic. But overall, I thought the crossover was pretty good. And I do highly recommend you guys check it out. I know some of you are probably going to get the, you know, trade paperback graphic novel when it comes out. I know I will, even though I have the issues individually. But overall, I thought it was a good crossover, and, you know, again, like I said, it does leave the door open for a potential sequel in the long run. So I'm really looking forward to that. And if anybody's wondering how many stories Ian Flynn did, I think Ian may have done perhaps 3 short stories. I'm not really sure. 3 or 4 short stories. I think maybe it was 3. I'm not really sure. I have to go back and look. But I think he did less stories in the crossover than anybody would probably thought he would be doing as well, because his name was kind of like the top name promoted for when it came to, you know, the writers for the crossover. But he doesn't do that much. I think he does like 2 or he does about 3, I think, and that's about it. But anyway, though, I do recommend checking it out. Comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what your thoughts were on the crossover as a whole. What were your favorite parts? And that's about it, guys. So till next time, God bless. Take care. I'm out.